I hope Eric got a security.
I'm still
detail
mind
out
blown
there.
about Larry and Lawrence. Like that doesn't make sense to me.
I don't understand why that's so crazy to you that Larry is short for
I
Lawrence.
just never put the names together, so I don't know why. This is so stupid. Whatever. Sorry. Okay, so it's your boy G with Alec. Another great episode of the pod here. Thank you for tuning in. Here to talk about the NBA playoffs, specifically here in LA, talking about the Clippers as they lost their series to the Suns, going down. What was that? 4-1 with the finale ended up a couple of days ago. So we want to talk about them in their season. Kawhi went out again with another injury. Paul George didn't get a chance to return because of his injuries, and so that's just been a continual cycle for them. So we want to talk about them. Also, a quick note about Giannis. Giannis lost to the Heat, and we saw Jimmy Butler, for those that may call him that, putting on a masterclass in the playoffs against all our predictions about how that would go and upsetting the Bucks. Those were some injuries that caused it, and there's a lot of reaction going on about it. Talking about Giannis, his statements about the season being a failure and all kinds of things in that regard and beyond. So good thing talking about on both sides. Happy to get into it all. Let's go ahead and run this intro one more time, and then we'll get into it. Them same old Clippers, man, just can't get out of their own way. Always something. As we said, the Clippers lost to the Suns a couple of days ago, ending their series 4-1 with the Suns running away from the Clippers in the end. Just because the Clippers didn't have enough manpower. They had guys to do their best to step up. Norman Powell put on some good performances. Russell Westbrook, as we know, put on some good performances. Plumlee and other guys did their best to fight. Didn't have enough manpower to keep up with KD, Alex Boyd, Chris Paul, and others on the Suns to get past them. So they ended up falling. But many said that had Kawhi or not even both of them, had just one of them been around for the whole series, that the Clippers team could have found a way to upset that Suns squad. So definitely a sad thing for them. And just your first thoughts on the Clippers' failed season yet again.
Yeah, I mean it's unfortunate that you have to talk in coulda, shoulda, wouldas, and ifs. I think we had, when we did our tiers segment for the different NBA teams, we had them in the if as well. I mean, there was a lot of Western Conference team in that if tier, but they were like the prototype of the if tier, with having stars that have proven to not be durable, especially in Kawhi Leonard. And ultimately, that was their downfall once again. Paul George misses the last 9 games of the regular season, misses all of this series. Kawhi plays the first 2 games and misses the rest of the series with the meniscus tear. So ultimately, the same thing that's kind of happened for them in previous years with this duo was their downfall once again. You brought in Russ to be that third option, and then he had to be the first option. And he kept them afloat, but that wasn't enough against a high-powered offensive team in the Suns. They had the depth, but when your 2 stars are out, that depth isn't as impactful. So a rough way to end it for the Clippers team that once again had high expectations and fell short.
Yeah, and this has been multiple years of this going on now with this squad. There's always been high hopes of, if this squad, they've been the ultimate if for a few years now since this pairing has gone together. Even before that, with the past teams of Chris Paul and others, always almost getting over the hump, but never quite doing so. So yeah, definitely sad thing for those fans at least to keep watching. I know we may have look at that Clipper pack we did before, but on a serious note. Them looking at what the situation may be going forward. Lawrence Frank, I'm still laughing at his name. I'm sorry, but Lawrence Frank had a press conference after the season ended, and he shared a few thoughts about things. For one, he said we have to get back to honoring and respecting the regular season. He talked about wanting to retain Russell Westbrook. Talked about Tyronn Lue also being returned, and Kawhi and PG continue to be a part of the core as well. And we'll get more in depth about each one. But yeah, just your first thoughts on what you think the direction of this squad should be going forward, Alec.
Yeah, I'll start off more like with the bold statement that I kind of had because it kind of goes with this.
Sure.
I think contrary to what Giannis said, there is failure in sports. I think his sentiment about the season, I'm okay with not calling the whole season a failure, but there is failure in sports. And I think the Kawhi and Paul George era of this Clippers team has been a failure, undoubtedly. What they gave up Shea and a treasure trove of picks to get Paul George. And this team has not made it to the finals. The one real opportunity that they had, once again, Kawhi went down and Paul George kind of led them to a Western Conference Finals appearance. But ultimately, it wasn't enough because both stars weren't healthy once again. So for me, this duo of Paul George and Kawhi, you cannot move forward with them as the framework of this organization if your aspirations are to win a championship. If the reason for retaining them and seeking to build around them still is because they have a new stadium coming in 2024 and you want to put fans' butts in seats. They talked about the 11,000 toilets or whatever. Like, you want fans to use those toilets in the arena. You want those marquee guys to have for fans to buy tickets and come watch the team play. I get that. But if you want to win a championship, I don't believe you can go forward with these two as the nucleus of this team.
To address both parts, first off, I agree with your statement that there's failure in sports. Contrary to TikTok and Twitter philosophy about I don't take losses, I only learn lessons. In sports, you can do both,
right? Exactly,
and learn the lesson. Both apply, and that definitely occurred here with Giannis, who we'll get to more so later on, and with the Clippers here, who came up short yet again in these playoffs. So yeah, I definitely think that they have learned the lesson the hard way yet again. And then to add on to your next point about Kawhi and PG not being able to be on the core of this team going forward, I guess it depends on the goal. If the goal is to win and be a championship team, which people keep thinking that's what they were put together to do, then yeah, I don't think they can do that because they have shown that they can't stay around long enough to make the runs that are needed to do so. But if the goal is just we have our new stadium coming in 2024, we want to make sure our seats are filled. The regular season, we want to make sure we have popular names for our fans to enter a new arena into, then sure, keep them around. You may not have playoff success, but fans, our Clipper side will say we're able to wear the Kawhi jerseys, the Paul George jerseys, and go in for 82 games during the regular season or for 20 games whatever games they play.
Right.
And show up and have those seats filled. So it just depends on what the goal is. Here in this little quote that says, talking about Lawrence Frank, talking about Kawhi and PG and their extensions. Those guys are great players, great partners, and we want to keep them as Clippers for a long time. Number one goal is how can we build a sustainable championship team? It seems like that's kind of contradictory.
It is very, yeah.
If that is the goal and you want to make a sustainable championship squad, these guys have not shown anything that is sustainable for some time now, sadly. And I'm saying this also as someone who's a big Paul George fan and Podcast P fan. Again, apologies for the hate, the other podcast. So yeah, just again, someone who definitely roots for them. The reality is it's hard to have that as your statement when the actions have never match that. So yeah, we will see what comes next for them, and it's going to be very interesting to see how they put this roster together this offseason and beyond. So yeah, definitely going to keep our eyes on Clippers there. The little brother trying to figure it out still, and they're going through the growing pains right now as they continue to put it all together there. So any other thoughts on the Clippers? You want to keep dissecting these quotes that Lawrence Frank shared the other day?
You can keep it for a second. I was just going to add on to what we've already been talking about. But, I mean, this season, Kawhi and Paul George played, I think it was like 43% of the games they played together.
Right.
They missed a whole lot of games. And Ty Lue talked about the load managing of Kawhi being a reason why they can ramp it up in the playoffs. And he could play 40 minutes or whatever need be in the playoffs, all for him to tear his meniscus
in the first game.
It might have been game one. Actually, he powered through game two, but yeah, I think it was in game one. So yeah, it doesn't matter the amount of load managing or catering to Kawhi Leonard. It seems like his body breaks down. It's not that he's not capable when he's healthy of being your number one on a championship team. It's that you can't rely on him to be durable throughout a season, throughout a playoff run, and we've seen that time and time again. And then when it's not Kawhi, it's Paul George getting hurt too. So it's tough to rely on them as a championship framework, like Lawrence Frank is talking about. When we've seen the writing on the wall, we've seen it play out. Like, it's the definition of insanity, like doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. You can't do that if you want to win a championship.
Yeah, definitely agree there. Just what we've seen them go through in recent years is that though they already have announced the rule changes for the season with tournaments and all that are going to be in place, does this give any more weight to the possibility of them wanting to, or for those that say they want to decrease the number of games during the season? Does this add any merit to that? In that, we have guys that keep getting hurt because of the amount of games played. Does this situation add to that at all?
No, I don't think it adds any merit to the shortening the season discourse. I think there's plenty of stars who played 60, 65 plus games who would still be eligible for the regular season awards and all of that this year. There are guys that miss time too, but even the guys that miss time don't miss as much time as Kawhi does annually. So I don't think that's a fair assessment to apply to the rest of the league when Kawhi is notorious for missing games. Anthony Davis gets the street clothes moniker, and deservedly so, to be quite frank, but Kawhi has missed more time than Anthony Davis has, and he kind of flies under the radar at times with that, but he's notorious for missing a lot of time. So
I wouldn't even say he flies under the radar. It's just a whole nother level. Like, you don't even feel good like making fun of it. Like, he's hurt so much and it's so serious of injuries, like you don't even want to like joke at it, like in the way that Anthony Davis does, where it's always something little with Anthony Davis that he just ends up missing one game in a spot where you need to play the game or whatever the case may be. So, yeah, these situations, and this is a sad situation here with the Clippers continually as they have yet to get over the hump that they so desperately strive for. So, could be Lakers, but oh well. But anyways, going on to other things, that's it for the Clippers right now. I also wanted to point out, though, there was some serious talk about the Heat and the Bucks series, with the Heat being the 8 seed, upsetting the 1 seed Bucks, and Giannis was out for a couple of games and had some serious statements about the season and it being a failure, which you already pointed to. But just wanted you to bring that back up one more time and share with more your thoughts about Giannis's reaction to the end of his season.
Yeah, I thought it was a rough question and rough moment, I guess, for Giannis, having just lost in the first round as a 1 seed. The emotions are raw.
Right.
I thought, considering that, he handled the tough question well, but I don't fully agree with all the sentiments in it. I do agree with him that to just label the entire season of failure isn't genuine. I mean, because they dominated the regular season, earned the 1 seed, and I agree with Giannis that they may have looked past the opponent and been looking at the championship as opposed to focusing on the goal right in front of them, which is the Miami Heat team, who deserves to be taken seriously, clearly. But I do think that losing this series is a failure. Coming in as the 1 seed, as the most dominant team in the league, who was the only clear favorite really that we had for either conference. I do know and acknowledge that Giannis missed 3 of the games, and they won 1 of those 3, but the 2 that Giannis did play, they lost those 2 as well. So you can't just say if Giannis plays all the games that they automatically win. I think we assume that the Bucks win the series if Giannis is healthy, but that's not a guarantee. The way Jimmy Butler was playing and the way the Heat rallied around him, I feel like Giannis was understandably frustrated and a little bit emotional, and I think he did a good job of not going full LeBron 2011. Y'all are some broke asses, and go back to your normal boring lives kind of thing. He did a good job not taking it personal because he was about to go there.
Yeah.
But I think he was wrong in a sentiment that there's no failure in sports ever. I think you can fail to accomplish a goal, absolutely. But agree that the full season, in the scope of his career, in the scope of the Bucks, is not a failure. Yeah.
Yeah, I get the nuance to that and understand what he's trying to say. Also, it just is difficult in a situation like that when the bar has been set. You are a team that has now won a championship. You are a player yourself who has won multiple MVPs now and has been very successful in this league for some time now. So when that is the case, just getting the one seed in the regular season, while it should be celebrated, it does not mean that the season, I guess. I think still if you lose in the playoffs in the first round as they did, it still makes that season a failure. Like the goal that you have set for yourself as a championship squad, as a team that was looking forward to the championship and all of that, losing the first round does make this somewhat of a failure. So he does have positives he can pull from it, but there are some lessons to be learned from this defeat as well. So he clearly is feeling the effect of that, and this team I believe will bounce back and surely be in competition going forward. So I'm excited to see how they bounce back. Any quick comments on anything else going on across the NBA? We'll get more in depth, of course, later on. But any quick words you want to throw in here about anything else going on?
Well, I had kind of like my worst take of the week that I had seen,
Sure.
and that was applied to the Clippers discussion that we had. But it was a man I respect and am entertained by a lot in sports talk media, in Stephen A. Smith on First Take.
Hold on. I think they were talking about. Let me find it.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So as I said, Stephen A., a man that I respect a lot and am entertained by a whole lot in sports media talk spaces, but he just had an absolutely egregious take this week, which he had another one earlier on about Kawhi being the worst superstar, a man that's won 2 championships already. But then he followed it up later this week with saying that Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers should force him to retire. Just like absolutely egregious journalism. Like I don't know how you can call yourself a sports journalist and have a take like that, where you're saying an organization should force a player to quit the game for good. That's always, the onus is always going to be on the player to make that decision. And we know what Kawhi puts into the game. Like we can have our debates about like his durability and whatnot, but we know that the man puts in the work for the game. Like you can't play through a meniscus tear, you can't play through a grade 3 hamstring strain, whatever. It's not his fault that he gets injured. But to say that the Clippers should force him to retire, I don't know, man. I feel like that's a couple steps too far when you're telling an organization that they should tell a man to quit his career because he's had some serious injuries. When we've seen when he is healthy, he can lead a team to a championship. He can play at an MVP level. I thought he was the best player in the series until he got hurt. Devin Booker obviously was amazing too for the Suns, but just absolutely egregious to me, this take from Stephen A. Smith. And I know they're trying to draw some headlines and he gives more analysis after the take, but it's kind of a nasty, attention-seeking grab take for me with what he said about the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard there.
When you brought this up to me before the show, I brought up that he did explain after the fact about the quote and tried to clarify what he meant further in that. But also in your setup for this just now, you talk about how Stephen A. is an entertainer and entertaining, and you enjoy what he has to say, and that's just the reality of what sports media on the mainstream stage has become. It's entertainment for a lot of these folks, and he is not shy about saying it. He's pointed out how he always is quick to do the First Take is the highest selling show, and we're the best show on sport. It's like the clearly numbers are what they want, and stuff like this is what gets those headlines. So he's just playing the game that he kind of set for himself. He kind of hit him and guys of the past that were his co-hosts laid the blueprint, and he's just continuing to do just that. For a while, he was everything that he did was a meme, and that was a funny time on Twitter where every video it seemed like it was every day it was something he knew he was doing. Every face he made, every word he said was turned into a meme. That's died down now, and now he's getting back into other ways of getting your attention by saying things that will continue to grab your attention on your timeline. So this is more of the same. And yes, he did clarify it, but the statement itself, which he knows, of course, will be clipped up into just this first part, minus whatever explanation he gives afterwards, definitely is an egregious thing. And I agree with you that he shouldn't have even started his statement like this to begin with, and should have just went into the real analysis he tried to give after the fact. So yeah, that's just how the game is these days. And in the words of Cameron, it is what it is. So
I'm glad. I'm glad JJ Redick packed him up a little bit afterwards too in his analysis of Stephen A's comments.
Thing with that too, the pack up is entertaining as well. So he sits there and takes it and just responds, and it just goes about it. It's not like they never really act like they learned something in the debate. It's just more debate where they never say they're wrong in anything. It just keeps on going back and forth and back and forth. So
another analysis of Stephen A's comments is just the Clippers side of it. Like, who are the Clippers as an organization to tell a two-time champion, the best player probably in their franchise's history, that he should retire? When what have the Clippers done in their franchise history? They haven't made it to an NBA final.
Kawhi was staring at Steve Ballmer crazy, like, who are you?
It's an egregious take from Stephen A. Smith all around. I was just I could not believe what I was reading and hearing when I saw that. So I had to point that out because
understood. Now I'm with you on that. So we'll see what's next. There's surely gonna be more wild takes. LeBron's still in the playoffs. Steph's still in the playoffs. A lot of popular figures are still in the playoffs doing their thing. There's a lot of talk about the Grizzlies right now, whether they win or lose. There's going to be surely a lot of headlines that I'm sure he's going to continue to make about those teams. So, it just is what it is right now. And we'll do our best on our end to have more fun and not as outlandish of takes, more healthy discussion about the things that are going on. So, yeah, definitely some wild things to keep our eyes on there. Wild stuff going on with the Clippers, wild stuff going on with the Bucks, and just all across the league. Continue to keep our eyes on all of it. Excited for what's to come. And any more things you want to bring up, or is that it for you?
Yeah, one last thing, which we didn't really talk about him very much because we were focused on Kawhi and PG, but basically what they do with Russell Westbrook, and what Russell Westbrook should do. I mean, like, there's still discussion that potentially a team like Miami or Chicago could use his services. I think the partnership between him and the Clippers seems like it was a great one. Like, it seems like the fans embraced him, the team embraced him, Ty Lue did, and that Russ enjoyed his tenure with the team and clearly gave it his all. Like, he kept them in games. The last game 5 was rough, but game 1 through 4, even with the bad shooting performance in game 1, he was essential to the success of that Clippers team without some of their stars. So I'm interested to see what the Clippers decide to do, because he's not going to be paid $750,000. Like, he's going to command a few million probably. And what they would like to do with him, whether that's bringing him back and him playing a 6-man role type thing with the Clippers, or whether that's him pursuing another team. But interested if you had any thoughts on Russ.
No, I'm very glad that he bounced back and found better footing back here and on the other LA squad with the Clippers there. And love what I saw from him in the playoffs, and definitely were some shining moments that showed that he is here to stay. There are a lot of folks that were starting the clock on him and saying that the time was running out, and he showed that he still has plenty of legs and plenty of basketball left in him. So, I think he'll be here to stay, whether that's in LA or beyond. I'm excited to see where he goes, wherever that may be. So, I think he surely can find his footing somewhere and continue to play it for as long as he can. So, just looking forward to wherever comes of it.
Yeah. As you know, as a number one Russ fan, I'm happy that he showed he can still play basketball at an elite level. Like, he was still keeping this team in a series that had Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and Kevin Durant on the team. So they were severely outmanned, and they were a few plays away from winning a couple of those games without Kawhi and Paul George. So I'm happy for Russ. I'm happy that he displayed for the naysayers, regardless of them getting their jokes off after the series loss. I'm happy that he displayed that he can still ball with the best of them. Yeah,
agreed. So, good things to keep our eyes on there. Some sad things to look at there with the Clippers and beyond. Definitely good things going. Just interesting things going on across the world of the NBA and beyond. So yeah, just good stuff there, and looking forward to it all. So that'll be it for right now, I believe. We'll come back tomorrow or later this weekend to react to however this Lakers and Grizzlies series goes. We'll react to the Warriors and Kings series as that continues to go on, and just looking forward to the rest of these playoffs as things carry on all around. So yeah, fun things here where we have some more bonus episodes for you guys as we continue on, bring some more guests back on, and we want to continue to maintain that rotation that we introduced you guys these last few weeks, and excited to keep this show rolling as we do. So thank y'all, our LA folks, continue to tap in and show love. We appreciate y'all for watching. Like, rate, review, subscribe, comment. How you do that, definitely appreciate it all. And for now, we out of here, man. Appreciate it. Peace.
Deuces.